I want to welcome you back to Boxing Jabs, and we're going to talk about the fight between Joyce and Daniel Dubois. First, I'd like for you to subscribe to this channel. Tonight, you watched Joyce beat the talented Daniel Dubois, basically with one punch, and it's called the jab. When you start boxing, it's the first thing you learn is to throw a jab. It's the most fundamental thing about boxing. And you saw Joyce using on Daniel Dubois the way a jab should be used. I haven't seen a jab used like that since Larry Holmes, the former heavyweight champion, considered one of the best jabs in boxing history. It carried him all the way to 48-0 before losing to Michael Spinks. But another man had a powerful jab. You may know him, George Foreman, who used that jab as a weapon. And tonight you seen Joyce use that jab as a weapon to put a knot on Daniel Dubois' eye, basically leaving him sightless during the fight. And it's though Daniel Dubois came forward as usual, threw some beautiful combinations, he looked really good, but in the end, he fell to the basic punch in boxing, the jab. And Joyce, a fighter that many thought would lose this fight, a fighter that people thought did not have the ability to compete with a young Daniel Dubois, showed you something different. He showed you if you learn how to use that jab properly, you can win fights. Not only can you win fights, you can make a top prospect like Daniel Dubois quit on his knee. And that's what happened tonight. Joyce had a game plan. He stuck to the game plan, and you saw him move around. You saw Joyce, a fighter who's 35 years old, use all the technical boxing skill and his boxing IQ on Daniel Dubois. And you saw Daniel Dubois fall to Joyce. Joyce is a well-conditioned fighter with an excellent chin, and he proved that tonight, because you know how powerful Daniel Dubois is. And when you have a jab like Joyce, you can be in any fight. I don't care who you face. People say Joyce is too slow, but he proved something tonight. If you're technically sound with that jab, if you're technically sound with a proper game plan, and you use proper ring IQ, you can compete with any heavyweight in the world. And he proved that tonight. He proved all the doubters wrong who thought this would be Daniel Dubois' coming out party in the heavyweight division. But you saw something different. You saw a calm Joyce. A Joyce who was not even breathing hard. It was like the game plan was executed precisely on Daniel Dubois. And when you seen Daniel Dubois go to his knee and try and get up at 10, you know he didn't want to get up because he couldn't take it anymore. This was a beating, but it was technically sound when it comes to boxing. See, boxing is truly an artistic sport. And if you use the fundamentals of boxing properly, you can win plenty of fights. See, that's what makes fighters great. To learn how to use every aspect when you have those abilities. Now, Joyce may not have the greatest boxing skills, but the ones he has are technically sound. And you can win a championship being technically sound. And he has a granite chin of iron, because we all know that Daniel Dubois can knock a person out. This is going to be tough for Daniel Dubois to come back from, because sometimes it's better to get knocked out to being beaten to your knees. And most people think that you quit the fight. Joyce is now a realistic heavyweight contender to win a championship. He will now move up the WBO ratings, possibly to number 2, possibly over Joseph Parker or Usyk. But he deserves to be up there in the top 2 or 3 of the WBO. If Anthony Joshua will not fight the number 1 contender, there will be a bout for the WBO championship, and maybe Joyce might be the person who's in that fight. And he deserves to be in that fight. I love to see a boxer's game plan executed to the point to where the other fighter submits. And we saw that tonight with Daniel Dubois. This is what boxing is all about. The guy who wasn't supposed to win, win. And not only does he win, he wins convincingly by using the most basic punch in boxing, boxing jabs. That's why I call my channel Boxing Jabs. I want to thank you for listening to Boxing Jabs. I hope you subscribe to this channel, smash the like button, and share the video.